word coffee was driven from this name, from the Keffa. So coffee was discovered in Keffa region according to the story. I was one of the first 325 people in the world that certified coffee tester. Unless you are best of the best, the competition is getting tighter and tighter. This is our lab. We also teach Q classes, which means coffee quality training, certified coffee tester. This area is good for 12 students at a time. And this is our espresso bar. This is our espresso machine. We have everything set up, kind of coffee shop style, but we're not a coffee shop. We have it here for training purpose and to evaluate our own coffee.
Meet the young African self-made millionaire, entrepreneur, and a coffee farmer, Mr. Samuel Demisse, President and CEO Keffa Coffe Lab, originally from Ethiopia, East Africa, based in Baltimore City, United States of America.
There is nothing that we need that we cannot find in Africa. Dr. Arkana Chiombo. Welcome back to the channel. I am Abdurrashid Abubakar. Welcome, Mr. Samuel Demisse.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate your time for having me.
You find coffee. Apart from the fact that you came from Africa, from Ethiopia, one of the top 5 coffee producing country in the world. Can you take me down memory line? Why coffee?
That's a very good question. Why coffee? Because I was born and raised from a coffee farmer's family in Ethiopia, in the southwestern part of Ethiopia, a small town named Magaro. And my dad has always been in a coffee, and I learned everything at a very young age about coffee. All of my life has been connected with coffee. That's the only thing that I know. And there is a big opportunity when it comes to coffee business here in the United States. There is coffee consumed locally, huge number of cups per year in the US. US is one of the biggest coffee consumer. And I love coffee. I love, this. I would say like coffee is originated from Ethiopia, and also it's a kind of tradition. It's in my blood. I don't think my days are not gonna go without coffee.
So do you believe in that saying that Africa do not need the world need Africa?
The world needs Africa, for sure. Like we have a lot of resources, and not only agricultural, so many oils and so many resources from Africa. But the problem is the world doesn't know that we have all of these resources. So we need someone like you, traveling around the world and telling the world what we have. If you ask even for coffee, for instance, in the United States, 10 people, maybe 5 out of 10, they're gonna say, where is coffee originated from? They would say from Brazil. That's happened for me a lot of times. When people ask me, what do you do for a living? I said, first of all, I'm a green coffee importer. And they said, what is green coffee means? Coffee we know is roasted, is green and brown. And I always tell them coffee is like roasted this way. And I ask them, where do you think coffee is originated from? Most of them, they say from Brazil or Colombia. They didn't know coffee is originated from Ethiopia. I would say they love Ethiopian coffee, but they didn't know like the story behind. So we need to highlight and bring out, not only coffee, we have a lot of agricultural products, and we have a lot of things, and also tourism. Africa is kind of forgotten right now.
It's interesting that you bring out the fact that coffee originated from Ethiopia. And that is one of the key things that I am very, very, passionate and, interested in. Can you tell me more about the discovery of coffee in Ethiopia?
Even the word coffee was driven from this name, from the Keffa. So coffee was discovered in Keffa region according to the story.
From a village called Keffa?
From the area called
Keffa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a goat hider named Caldis, you see worldwide Caldis name in a coffee in a brand. You see also Keffa name in a different different alphabet. You see Keffa name in the world with Ka or 1F, because they still want to go back and use that name for their brand. But a goat hider named Caldis, first he saw his goat eating cherries, and they go back and they couldn't sleep the whole night because of the caffeine.
The goats.
The goats, they couldn't sleep. They were dancing. There is a company called also Dancing Goat, and goat-related company, because goat is the one that first they taste the cherry, coffee the cherry, and they tasted the cherry and they couldn't sleep at night time. This smart goat hider, Caldi, he figured he was wondered like why the goats not sleeping, what did they eat in the daytime. So next day he tried by himself, and he couldn't sleep. So he shared with them, with the monk, we shared with all the people in the village. This plant has something unique. It's gonna keep you up. It's gonna wake you up. And if you're gonna travel, let's try this. And they start eating the cherry, and then suddenly fall on fire, and it smells good, and it tastes easy to chew it. And that's the story behind coffee people, how they start. And the first country to use, ship the coffee was through Yemen. It shipped to Java and back to Africa again, and Brazil, #1 producer in the world right now. They're only, I think, a little over 100 years in a coffee, but coffee started in the 1200th century
in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So you mentioned to me earlier that coffee has cultural thing to it in Ethiopia. Can you tell me more about that?
The only coffee ceremony, the oldest coffee ceremony still exists in Ethiopia.
What is coffee ceremony?
Coffee ceremony is very unique. So
okay.
We do like 3 times a day in Ethiopia.
A day?
Yeah, 3 times a day. Each time it takes about 2 hours.
Okay.
We're using 6 hours literally for coffee, especially back in the day. Now everyone is busy going to coffee shop, but when I was young, my family, my neighbors, they come to our house. Maybe my family go to their house. They start from washing the beans and roasting fresh on a pan, like in a charcoal or in a fire, and grind it there fresh and boil the water and make coffee. So the first part of the ceremony, the first round is always served for elderly people, and the second round is for kids, and the third round is for young kids. So
right.
Literally, I start drinking coffee at a very, very young age.
Okay.
It's not like full caffeine, but they add more water for the second round coffee and third round coffee. That's a cultural. It's only women, they serve coffee during that time. They prepare the coffee, all the coffee ceremony. Men, they don't do the coffee ceremony. I have never seen any men doing the coffee ceremony. So traditionally, she has to be washed, she has to cover her hair with traditional Ethiopian clothes, and just serve the coffee ceremony. There is incense, in front of the coffee. There is also popcorn or the bread is served with the coffee. So people, they enjoy it. It's like kind of back in the day, I would say this is like kind of community. They get together and talk about, so many issues in the village. That's how they're spending really nice community time. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Samuel. So now, I want us to go into your journey to America. Yeah. You told me earlier that actually you started coffee business in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So how was it like coming in from Africa to America?
Coming from Africa to America, it was very interesting. I mean, this United States is land of opportunity. You get a lot of opportunity. But for me, when I come to here, I already have coffee experience from my family. I learned my family business at a young age, and I also helped my family business to grow to international business. But the problem is, like when you do in Ethiopia or other part, you don't get, especially back in the day, you didn't get like market update. You just do traditional way. But here in the US, you have all the resources, you have all the technologies, you have all the news, you get update about what's happening, and so in that way you can see where the market is going to go, because this is second biggest community in the world. It could be affected by so many things. It could be weather, it could be a lot of things. So price, it could go up, it could go down. And it's kind of, stock market, but if you don't have the right resource, especially when you do business in Africa, you'll be exposing yourself for a lot of risk. So one of the things my company is planning, maybe 8 years from now, we want to protect by doing like future market model for the East African coffees.
So, when we talked earlier, you told me about coffee tasting.
Yeah.
And, based on my research,
Yeah.
I see that, you are among, the top coffee taster in the world.
Yeah.
This is a very, interesting and a very unique thing, to have, even though I'm not shocked, because based on what we talk now, what we talk about now, that, coffee actually originated from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
In so many ways, the colonial masters, they try to take all these, resources from Africa. But Ethiopia, looks like one of the few countries that resist the colonial master, and I kind of see that they have very good output in terms of coffee production and sale to the world, because Ethiopia reached sale of almost 1 billion in 2022 of the sale. What do you think contributes to that resilience of Ethiopia, and how do you think moving forward the Ethiopian coffee farmers, how do you think moving forward, how do you think they should think? How do you think they should look at the market, both African market and also Europe market and also North American market? How do you think they should look?
So, talking about my coffee testers, and when I build a company, I also built a skill. So it's like built-in a company is like a lot of built-in a company in the United States is like at the early age, you're gonna be the one, you're gonna do everything. Including HR. If you don't have anyone, like you just learn.
A lot of things.
Accounting and sample
You're gonna be jack of all trades.
Everything. You're gonna wear 10 hats, and you have to work. But I built, because it's my passion, I invest a lot of time in developing my palate and learning a lot of things about coffee tasting. And I was one of the first 325 people in the world as certified coffee taster. Now the number could be high, but I got my certification in 2008. And I also compete for the United States Coffee Taster Championship, and I won 4 times.
You won the second place?
Second place, third place. And on top of that, I'm the only one who's been competing for the last, 13 plus years.
Wow.
So I'm gonna go one more year this year and see how it's gonna be like.
You're gonna be the first.
I'm gonna be the oldest in the coffee competitor. But you ask me about Ethiopia, never been colonized, but there are a lot of outsourced, including coffee. It was a good news this year. The country make the milestone for the first time, passing. It's always 800, 900 million a year for the big number 5 biggest producer in the country. But this year, Ethiopia revenue from coffee is over $1 billion, which is a good thing. I mean, being me here, I'm also the biggest Ethiopian coffee buyer right now, based on
in America?
No, in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So based on the National Bank report of this year, my company is 39 biggest coffee buyer for Ethiopian coffee buyers worldwide.
Worldwide. Wow.
Worldwide, yeah. It's over 500 companies they buy, but we are number 39. I think we are number 1 on the specialty side, but this is combined with the specialty and commercial grade. But Ethiopia need more advocate like me, just to be honest, the consumer love Ethiopian coffee because of the unique profile of the taste profile, and some of them it's just winey, some of them blueberry, some of them perfumey. I mean, other East African coffee also we buy, which tastes really amazing, but you need more people to advocate and go out, and we're investing a lot of money in the shows and make sure we have really good presence, and also telling the story about the farmers. And when we have interested coffee roasters, they want to go and see the farmers. We took a lot of coffee roasters from different parts of the world to Ethiopia, and it was a turning point for them. Like when they came back, they said, I'm going to increase my purchase from Ethiopia than buying from this country. They already developed it. So when they see the people, so when they meet the producer, we also sharing all the photos and the videos and the personal story of each farmer. That means a lot, and U.S. consumers have really good heart to direct business and support the farmers. So I think that's one of the things it helps us for the country to sell more coffee. And in the future, what we need to do is the farmers also need to catch up with what's happening in terms of new processing, in terms of new fermentation, a lot of new things coming in the coffee industry. So the farmer need to catch up that one. So we're going to be distributing the yeast to Ethiopia. We signed a contract. The first shipment is going to go out next week. That is going to adding flavor profile. It's going to enhance the coffee, and also it's going to be generating a lot of good return for the farmers. So we're going to be educating the farmers on the ground, and we're going to be distributing for the farmers. We shared farmer story. I think that's the best way. All consumer want to be connected somehow through blockchain or any sort of direct information, photos with the producer.
How do you see young people, coming into the coffee business, both in Africa and in America? How do you see them succeeding in that business?
The opportunity is here. Like any other profession, this is really, really high profession. I invest my 20 plus years in the coffee. It's not easy. If you invest 20 plus years in IT, you're gonna be IT specialist. Like any specialist, any profession, they need to invest time and learn about everything from scratch. And this is very diversified, and a lot of things are moving part in the coffee industry in terms of varieties, elevations, and where it's grown, and testing, roasting, barista, so many things. They need to be patient and learn everything. They don't want to see from top. They have to build from the bottom. And if they know coffee from the family, it's I don't want to have African entrepreneur getting themselves into because somebody is doing it, because that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Because you have to get it because you have that passion. And you have experience, or if you have time to learn, or if you have someone mentor teaching you and to get to that point. But if they watch this amazing video and they said, oh, Sam is biggest coffee importer, I want to do it tomorrow. That's not going to be put them in the wrong direction. So I want to have everybody. We used to get a lot of phone calls from all over the world, and it was funny. Some of them, they said, I'm a professor and I'm teaching accounting. I want to be doing I saw your video, I want to do like you. I said, if you're doing accounting, if you're a professor, why don't you be CPA, or maybe reform taxes for the country, or maybe consult taxes or something for the country, because I cannot come to your place and teach accounting because my profession is coffee, your profession is accounting. So just stick with where you invest in your lifetime and just work on that. If you are young enough to learn, just get in and learn. But at least you need 5 years to learn about coffee. At least. There is no shortcut in the coffee industry. You can get a shortcut in other business and somewhere in the world, but here in the United States, if someone want to buy this coffee from me, the first thing they're going to ask me, how do I roast it? How I'm going to use it? Is it going to be work for a blend? Is it going to be work for single origin? It's so many, millions of questions. You got to be on the same page. That's just one thing, and at the same time, you have to learn about, so many business, puzzles, and otherwise it's going to be challenging. I don't want to see, my African brothers or anyone is anybody in the business. I don't want to see businesses losing. They have to, keep growing and keep, hiring people and giving back to the community.
Yeah. Sam, let's talk about Africa. Because when you look at the world now, the world is shifting from traditional traditional resources.
Yeah.
In terms of, crude oil.
Yeah.
They are shifting towards, something else.
Yeah.
Do you think that coffee could be the next, thing that will turn, Africa's economy around in the near future?
That's a very good question. It has to, the production has to grow.
Because when you look at coffee,
Yeah.
Coffee production in
Yeah.
Africa, like,
Yeah.
we talked about
Yeah.
earlier, Kenya
Yeah.
produce,
Yeah.
significant amount
Yeah.
of coffee too.
Yeah.
Rwanda,
Yeah.
coffee
Yeah.
as well. You mentioned Tanzania, right?
Yeah, Tanzania, they grow coffee. A lot of great East African countries, they
Can
grow
you give
coffee.
me some of those countries?
Yeah, we currently buy from, for instance, from Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania producing, Democratic Republic of Congo, they're
okay.
producing. Some other places also they're producing different, like Robusta, which we don't buy. But, just this is like few East African countries to mention, they produce coffee. But at the same time, you mentioned about crude oil, and you mentioned about how Africa is going to be benefiting from coffee. Like, one thing we have to look at is, like, this is a cultural product. There is a production and there is a consumption. So if you don't find that balance, at the same time, if you don't educate consumer and have them drink coffee, like big countries, big population countries in, I would say maybe China, India, have them switch from tea, and
Yes.
China is getting to coffee. Unless they got into that, it's like when you produce too much, there is a downturn, which is going to be the price is going to go down because production is going to outpace the consumption. We've seen that before. Like production is going to be big. Brazil is #1 producer. For instance, today coffee market is higher because they're expecting their production is going to be low by 3-4 million bags annually. If they produce more, it's going to be below the cost. You're selling below the cost because too much coffee around the world,
Right.
too many bags. So make sure it educating the consumer and have them get into coffee, like especially big, US is consuming a lot already, but China is drinking tea, and they get into coffee. Maybe India or other part of the world. Africa is a good consumer of coffee, but just have them more.
But it's not
Yeah.
as much as other part of the world.
No, like in the US, I think Juan Valdez from Colombia did an amazing job back in 1970s.
Okay.
That's why people in the United States, they think his coffee is originated from Colombia. There was a TV commercial, he does all of this thing, and people, when they wake up first thing, they're looking for coffee. Yeah, so people, they drink, 3-4 cups a day.
Right.
But other parts are still like consuming or drinking tea. So, but
Because in Africa we drink a lot of tea.
lot of tea, yeah. So if you wanna do like Africa produce, a lot of bags of coffee and compete like so oil, the next thing for Africa would be, it's gonna be challenging.
It's going to be
Yeah,
challenging.
it's gonna be, yeah.
So, and that will bring me back to the next thing that I want to talk to you about, the historical facts, behind, the discovery of coffee.
Yeah.
That is not being amplified as much as, it was supposed to,
Yeah.
and like you rightly said, we have to amplify that.
Yeah.
So that people can get the right, perception,
Yeah.
About how coffee was, the origination, of coffee.
Yeah.
Then that would bring me to that point where what I was trying to say is that the medicinal point that you pointed, that the animals, when they, eat
The cherries,
they became so hyper.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that coffee had so much science
Yeah.
backed,
Yeah.
medicinal facts,
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Until I started researching you.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
when I spoke to you the first time, and I started researching about who is Samuel, so then a lot of things about the science facts
behind drinking, coffee.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more of what you believe?
Yeah, what I believe is like number
what you
one.
know
Yeah, what I believe and what I.
The science-proven fact.
Okay, science-proven
and
fact.
the spiritual, fact behind drinking coffee.
Okay. I mean, I would say the science-proven fact is like there are so many great researchers. It shows like, you don't have to overconsume. Like, if you drink 2-3 cups a day, it's gonna help you for metabolism. It's gonna help you to lower your blood cholesterol. It's gonna help you, like, even for your heart rate to have like. And also it's gonna make you, I would say, it's gonna make you look young. I'm 52, but I still look young drinking coffee.
You look like you're 30.
Thank you, yeah. So if you drink more coffee, you're gonna look like, you're gonna look
like you.
Yeah, like me, so. I mean, it's gonna keep you very healthy, to be honest. It's like like, I have never read anything bad research about coffee.
Except for the fact that it's very addictive.
Yeah, it's very addictive. Like, if if you overconsume, like, there is a caffeine and it's gonna get into your blood, and it's like, if you drink 20 cups, I'm not scientist, but if you drink, over X number of cups, it's not gonna be good for you. But if you drink, I drink, moderation. I drink, I'm not a professor on this, but just from my experience, I drink 3-4 cups, sometimes 5 and sometimes 6. It depends on my day. It depends on your age. It depends on your health condition also. Don't take my word, but do your own research. But it's gonna keep your spirit up and always in a good mood. For me,
yes, it helps.
Yeah,
because they said the animals' mood change, and I think that is one thing that I really love about coffee. Things that I've read about coffee is the fact that it helps your mood. It boosts your metabolism, like you said, and it helps your mood throughout the whole. One day I was passing by at a 7-Eleven, and I stopped. I said, I want a strong coffee, and the guy told me I should get Colombia coffee.
Okay.
As a matter of fact. So what do you think about that?
Strength is, so people like sometimes they see like the roast profile, they think like a darker coffee has like more strong like caffeine, but in reality it's like caffeine is one of the chemical compound. It doesn't change during the roasting. So whether you roast it dark or light, the caffeine content is gonna stay the same. What makes coffee more stronger is the coffee grown in low elevation, Robusta coffee grown. It gives a lot of.
That is true.
A lot of yield, and it gives cheaper coffee, really cheap. Arabica coffee, which we import 100%, is Arabica coffee. It's grown at very high elevation, and it takes time to the cherry to mature, and maybe twice the time than a Robusta coffee. It has less caffeine.
I find it interesting that Ethiopia actually has between 5,000 to 10,000 species.
Yeah.
Different beans of coffee.
Yeah.
So what brings that, or what is? I'm trying to understand that dynamics.
Yeah, so that shows you like literally Ethiopian coffee is originated from Ethiopia. According to the research, it could be even more than 10,000 species of coffee. But it's like still like the country has a lot of things to do right now, and they have not done a lot of research. There's only one book written about that. Our friend Timothy Hill, he studied and he put some. He wrote one book about Ethiopian, the species and varieties. Actually, how many varieties in Ethiopia? But the biggest variety is like heirloom variety, and the other big variety it was taken from Ethiopia in 1950s. And that coffee is like right now it's one of the most expensive variety in the world, that I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, it was sold 2-3 years ago. They don't produce that big quantity. It was only like 10 pounds or so, but it was sold over $1,000 per pound.
Wow.
Yeah, just because the coffee is like the geisha variety. It was taken from Keffa area, from the geisha village, small village in Ethiopia. Geisha, that's the variety name, also geisha.
Okay.
But if you see from Panama Geisha. I was on an email this morning. The Panama Geisha auction is gonna start in 3 weeks or 4 weeks time, but the auction is gonna go like hundreds of dollars, so we're not gonna be, Wow. So, but talking about variety, Ethiopia has a lot of variety, like any other, vegetable and fruit variety, like heirloom and, so many different varieties. So Ethiopia has a lot of varieties, undiscovered varieties.
So, and I know that you are not a government employee, you are not speaking for the government of Ethiopia, but I just want to, this is something that is giving me a lot of concern, right? And I just want to talk to you about that. Ethiopia was able to push past their regular threshold, of revenue, to, $1 billion in 2022. Yeah. So how do you think the country can maximize that opportunity, moving forward? Because when you look at all these Middle Eastern countries, what they're doing is they're maximizing the benefits of being one of the highest producing countries of gas, for example, Qatar, and also one of the highest producing of crude oil, Saudi Arabia, one of the highest producing of gold or silver gold, which is Dubai, and they're using that resources to develop their country. So how do you think Ethiopia government, rather than going into these conflicts and fights here and there, how do you think the government can concentrate on developing this brand, that will help them to transform the country?
First, that's a very good question. I don't want to get into politics. Just to be, we want to have peace coming to the country. First of all, all, believing in the country, one Ethiopia, and then have, if I go to one area, I should be treated like as one Ethiopian. I don't have to be from the north, from the south, from the west, from all of these places. I'm not in politics. I don't even watch and listen because I have so much things to do here, and that I, from what I hear very rarely, what's happening right now is it shouldn't have to happen because we're killing each other. Our brother. I was just trying to get into coffee, So
how the country can maximize?
The country to maximize anything. Okay. And number one, peace and stability is the most important thing. If someone want to invest in a coffee producing area, they should be they are worried okay, if I'm not from that area, somebody's gonna take over my farm, somebody's gonna do this. That's a problem right now I'm seeing. But in the long term, also the exporter and the producer, they have to adapt and be able to other countries, trading strategies, make sure, they get back and when I talk to, we have a lot of conferences and meetings with other importers, and the biggest thing I hear from the buyer side is my shipment that didn't ship on time is from Ethiopia, and I called and I have contract to be delivered in March, April, but the coffee is not here even in September. So this is one of the components they need roaster to put it on their blend, or maybe sell it in a single origin, or they're waiting for that contract to be fulfilled. But if they don't ship it on time, we're losing market opportunity. In a business, you get one opportunity. If you don't use that opportunity, it's going to go somewhere. And then we importers, we are not consumer. We consume for ourselves when we roast, but at the end of the day, consumer is going to be the one that's going to be taken out from the shelf. What happens is, if it doesn't ship on time, roaster, they have to cover that coffee from another country. They ship on time, and then consumer, they're going to used to the new flavor. When you go to yourself, I always put myself in the consumer shoes, because when I go to store, I buy the same product. If that product is not there on the shelf, I'm gonna try another one and I will like it. Maybe it's I'm gonna stick with that product. I don't like changing, but once I change, I'm not gonna go back to the previous one. So that's the thing. At the end of the day, consumer is the one, the hero for the product, for any product. To have that consumer stick and stay with the product is consistent delivery and consistent shipment is the key.
What would you like to say to young Africans in the diaspora, anywhere they are?
I would say for young African, business is not the only way you can, you can make your living. Wherever you are, like you can be a professor if you are expert like in IT, just
Focus on
plan and just to be best of the best. Unless you are best of the best, the competition is getting tighter and tighter. So wherever your profession, don't switch profession. Like I see some people investing money, like taking like a student loan and taking their precious like 6-7 years in a college and university, and then suddenly they changing like, oh, I'm gonna be a business, coffee person. And like, no, why you didn't start at the beginning? Like, there is nothing. You just, don't keep moving, don't keep shifting. Just have clear mind. If you are a physician or if you are a pharmacist, and just be how I'm gonna get for young. I'm old, but for young people, like, if you are in IT, just how I'm gonna put all of your time and energy to be the best of the best. Unless you are the best of the best, the opportunity is getting tighter, competition is getting tighter. The world is getting like, you have like so many resources now. So I would say just be, whatever you do, like just have a passion for what you do and just discipline yourself. Discipline, don't forget discipline. Discipline is like the most important, the key word in a personal life, in a family life, in a business, and everything, and anything you do, like you have to be disciplined. I gotta tell you this, when I go travel and meet a lot of CEOs and a lot of people, I always ask one big question: what's the biggest challenge in your business, and what is the biggest challenge in the personal and everything challenge? Some of them they say, the retention of employees, how to retain employees, they moving, leaving, go to another state, another country, and finance, so many things. But one person, she answered my question. I was in Australia in a coffee show, and we went out in a coffee party, and I asked her. She's originally from the U.S. She teaches barista and all of this in Australia. And I asked her, like, what's your, she told me about her business is struggling and trying to put together. And if it is struggling, what do you think was the biggest challenge for you? She said discipline. She can't discipline herself. She go out in a party, stay up, and next day, come back with, it doesn't work. They gotta have like discipline. I told her, you answer one of the biggest questions I ask everybody. But if you know that you're not disciplined, you gotta, put yourself, how to be disciplined. Like, you know what's wrong with you, but if you get that right, you'll be successful. So in everything, like in a personal life, in a business, in health, and if your doctor tells you not to eat this and not to drink this, you gotta be disciplined and follow that. The same thing in a business. So I think that's going to be the biggest advice for me, for my young entrepreneur, or from anywhere. Like, if you want to be successful, just if you have that discipline in your personal and a business, so you'll get anything you want. Especially here in, it's a land of opportunity, great opportunity here in the United States, and they got to use that one.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sam, for talking to me today about your business, Keffa Coffe Lab.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your expertise, your exposure, in this business. And also, that is one thing I'm going to take away, for myself, and I think for my viewers all over the world, most especially my subscribers on YouTube. I think that is a very powerful message, for you guys watching today's episode. Discipline, discipline, for young ones who are out there struggling, and they're trying to make impact, and I say yes, once you discipline yourself, God will, take you to the where you want to be, in life. Thank you for watching today's episode with Mr. Samuel Demisse, the President and CEO of Keffa Coffe Lab here in the heart of Baltimore City in Maryland, United States of America. Have a wonderful day, Mr.
Thank
Sam.
you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.